Michigan Out of Doors Online is brought to you in part by
Animals have the ability to smell scent half a mile away. But what good is an attractant if the animals have to be close to smell it? Introducing an industry-first vapor system. Vapor lasts longer and travels farther. Wind Scent by Fourth Arrow. Active vapor for deadly success.
Hey everyone, welcome to Michigan Out of Doors and happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. I'm Jenny Olson and we've got an all-new show for you this week. We're going to see how Jimmy and I both did out in the woods with cameras rolling for the first couple of days of firearm deer season, and I also stopped into a local buck pull.
Well, that's right, Jenny. I was really excited about opening day this year. I was bringing my 14-year-old son, Charlie, along, and I was getting to hunt with a good buddy that I actually grew up hunting with. So we had a great time out in the woods. You won't want to miss this week's show. I'm Jimmy Gretzinger. It's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan. Michigan out of doors. Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream, it's a love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Country Smokehouse, a sportsman's meat processor since 1988, featuring varieties of homemade sausage, jerky, brats, and gourmet entrees. Holiday gift boxes can be assembled in-store or online. Details at countrysmokehouse.com. By Showspan, producing consumer shows including the Ultimate Fishing Show Detroit, January 11th through 14th at Novi's Suburban Collection Showplace. This show features fishing tackle, trips, boats, and seminars from top pros. The Ultimate Fishing Show, Novi, January 11th through 14th. By KL Outdoor, a Muskegon manufacturer of sportsman's outdoor products for over 30 years, featuring the Terrain line of hard-sided hunting blinds designed for quick setup and removal with quiet operation. For more information and other products, kloutdoor.com.
Michigan-based Vanguard manufactures an array of binoculars, ranging in size and design, and backed by a lifetime warranty. Discover Vanguard sporting optics at vanguardworld.us.
On Deer Eve, the deer camp that I was going to be heading to was a converted pole barn in Mason County. However, as most guys arrived, I was not there. This year I was taking my son Charlie with me. He's a 14-year-old, and he has a crazy schedule. We had a 5 o'clock basketball game, and then a 7 o'clock band concert. He was finally ready to go about 8:30 is when we headed to deer camp. Now, luckily, the boys were still in rare form when we arrived. The camo was in place. The boots were ready. The stories, well, they were flying. You know, all the great parts about deer camp. Now, one nice thing about here in Mason County is they have been in the restricted area of the state when it comes to antler points. So the bucks just seem to get bigger and bigger over the years. And so we had high hopes of getting Charlie a nice buck. So with visions of antlers dancing in our heads, we hit the bunks. And then shortly, we were getting ready on the opening morning. We had 5 of us in camp going in 4 different directions today. Now, getting a teenage boy up early is really never very easy, but getting him to talk on camera, that is even harder. He is a great kid, and I couldn't wait to spend the day with him in the blind.
Hey everybody, welcome to opening day here in Mason County. Got my 14-year-old son Charlie with me, which I'm pretty excited because usually I'm taping somebody else on the opener, so Charlie's never been actually out on November the 15th, so kind of a fun morning for us to be together. And it is a wet morning here in Mason County, raining really steady. You can hear it in the blind, and thank God we're in a blind so we can sit a little bit longer. But we're seeing deer. We had a lot of activity right as it was getting light. Got light really late here this morning. And we're sitting on a little ridge, and it's amazing how many leaves are still on the trees. Kind of surprised with that. It's not real easy to see. Looks like it's mid-September, and it's mid-November. So, but we're seeing deer. Kind of a little lull now that it's getting a little bit later, but This is a really nice piece of property, real rolly. There's kind of some thick stuff down to our kind of our northwest here, and should be deer filtering over this ridge throughout the day. We're going to hang in here as long as we can, but so far in West Michigan it is a wet, rainy, mid 40 degree day, but it's good to be in the stand.
Well, the company was good, and we were seeing deer despite the terrible weather. The one thing that may make the old-timers unhappy is the sight of a phone in the blind. Well, let me say, by the amount of texts that I get on opening day, just about all of us have our phones with us. But what I have found is that with the phone in hand, I can get my kids to spend an extra couple of hours in the blind. So to me, that's worth it. The rain never really let up, and we hung in there till around 11, and then we headed back to the camp, which is where Jared Ruba was waiting with a dandy 9-point that he shot on the opening morning.
All right, Jared, what happened with this buck?
Well, I was sitting in the blind, and I just looked up, and it was halfway across my shooting lane.
Okay.
And I had my window down because it was cold, or I had it up, and I brought it down. I made just enough noise for it to stop, and it looked at me, so I just shot it and stumbled into the woods. And about a second later, it came back out, just hobbling. It couldn't use its front shoulder. And I shot it again, and it just fell right in the other side of the woods.
So you're on a little shooting lane, right?
Like, yep. Okay. I was on a power line.
Okay. Wow.
So, yeah.
And you opened the window and it stopped the buck.
Yep, opened the window and...
That thing is huge. Stopped. Wow, big body, too.
Probably my biggest one.
Did you see many deer moving this morning or no?
I saw an 8-point, a 5-point, and then a couple does, but it was pretty slow.
So good morning, though.
Yep.
Well, congratulations. That is a monster buck.
Thank you.
Gosh, that thing's got to be 18, 19 inches wide.
It is wide.
Sweet. Nice job.
Pretty exciting.
Well, it was exciting for sure. With one buck in camp, we were all ready to get some hot food and head back to the woods.
Pretty good morning, Ricky.
It was a great morning, yeah. Especially for that kid.
Yeah. How'd you get all the big ones?
He's lucky. For sure.
Yes, he is.
Well, Jared is lucky, but I think his luck comes from having a dad that has this down to a science. I grew up with Rick, and we have hunted together for years, and Rick covers all his bases. He has a good idea of what bucks are on what property, he lets friends come and hunt, and loves to see the younger generation have success. So when he extended an invitation for Charlie to come up and maybe take his first firearm deer, well, we jumped at the chance. Now, Charlie has taken a buck with a crossbow before, but had never been out on the opener because, frankly, I'm always working on the opener and barely ever hunt during the gun season as I'm always trying to tape other folks whenever possible. So we really enjoyed the afternoon together, and I was really glad I had waited until late on the 14th so that I could have Charlie in the blind with me. And we saw lots of deer, some grouse, and a lot of smaller bucks. In fact, we had a rather tough decision at one point. We had a buck come in right before dark that clearly had 2 points on his right side. And now looking at the footage, a brow tine there as well, making him a legal buck. However, I couldn't see the brow tine on camera. When I glassed the deer, I couldn't see it either. And since I couldn't tell for sure if the deer had 3 points in the few seconds that we had, well, we couldn't take the shot, or really even decide would we take the shot if we knew he was legal. It was a great teaching point, and Charlie handled it with a lot of maturity. So I ran Charlie home that night, and then I came back up to camp so that he could be at school the next day and I could be in the woods. Day 2 of the season was a lot better weather-wise. A light snow falling, and I was sitting on a power line, hoping to catch some deer moving through either to my east or to my west. Well, little did I know that to my north was where all the action was going to happen.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's just finally getting light enough here on the second day of the season for me to actually talk to the camera a little bit. It's just about, I think it's about 7:30 right now, and light snow just falling, perfect morning. I'm sitting in kind of a tough spot to tape yourself. I'm on a power line, and I just had a doe come through a little bit ago and got the camera kind of pointed that way, and then a buck came squirting through. might be the same buck that I just shot. Couldn't even get the camera turned on, let alone grab the gun. And I'm sitting on a power line here, and then right in front of me there's a little, gosh, I don't even know, 30-yard by 20-yard little opening. Not even really looking this way because I'm spending my time trying to look down both lanes, and sure enough, out pops this nice, what looks like an 8-point. And I just was really focusing on these two directions, and sure enough, out he came, and he just stood there long enough for me to get the camera around, get it on him, grab the gun. Oh, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
What a morning. Snow falling. Look at this beauty of a buck. Nice big 8-point, big old body, nice neck on him. I think this is the buck I saw earlier this morning. Came through that power line I was sitting on, couldn't quite get a shot. In fact, couldn't even get the camera turned on by the time he was through the lane. Don't know if this is him or not, but came back out, stood there, gave me a great shot. What a great buck.
Well, the only way this hunt would have been any better is if Charlie could have stayed one more day and shot the buck. Well, what a great hunt. Jared got a big 9, Rick ended up shooting a really nice 8-point, and along with mine, well, let's just say we had a great hunt in Mason County, here in Michigan's Out of Doors.
I spent the first couple of days of firearm deer season in the southeast part of the state in Ira Township. That's just north of Lake St. Clair. We had kind of a weird opening couple of days down there. We were able to check out some big bucks hanging on the buck pole, though, down the road. At daybreak on November 15th, Cindy Wisman was in her element, sitting in her pop-up blind in a chunk of woods here in Ira Township in St. Clair County. I met Cindy last year at Woods and Water Expo in Imlay City, and she invited me to hunt with her. Once I learned that she'd be celebrating her 50th birthday this year on November 15th, I figured it would be perfectly fitting to spend the day here and celebrate opening day and her birthday with a big buck. But as most of us know, Mother Nature dealt us a pretty nasty hand of weather on opening day. Over here on the east side of the state, we were spared the pouring rain until early afternoon, but had high winds all day long. It was so slow here, we heard only one gunshot off in the distance the entire day. In fact, we hunted the second day of the season and heard only one more shot then. Cindy was baffled and disappointed. She'd hunted archery season and didn't go a single hunt without at least seeing a deer out here. Firearm season was starting out much different for her. That birthday buck just wasn't meant to be, but we enjoyed our time in the blind, and Cindy will be after her buck for the rest of the season. After the evening hunt on the 16th, I headed up the road to the Dick Hoover Auto Dealership in Richmond for their 6th annual community buck pull. There were some awesome bucks already hanging and the stories of the hunts being retold. Kim Jugowitz says this year's horrible weather on opening night didn't discourage local hunters one bit from showing up here.
Actually, last night we had one of our bigger opening nights than we've had in the last couple years. Unbelievable, 18 bucks on the pole, and the weather was horrible, pouring rain, coming down sideways, and the guys were coming in with the deer, and we had almost 400 people here. So obviously Michiganders do not care about the weather. I think because the community out here is so tight, everybody knows each other, and there's so much to do. You know, we've got the bonfires, we got the s'mores, we got crafts inside, we've got vendors, food. We got the Walleye Club here this year. They're showing people how to fillet fish. I mean, there's so much to do here that, you know, you can walk around for about an hour and a half and be entertained.
It's almost like a little outdoor expo.
That's what we wanted. That's what we wanted, yeah. So it's going real good.
It was also going really well for Aaron Rhinus of Elmont, who bagged 2 bucks on opening day in Bad Axe.
2 bucks. Me and my dad made an opening day tradition. Second half of the day, he'll come eat lunch with me. We hunt the rest of the day in the blind together. And he was climbing up in the blind. Still, I was helping him get in the blind, get situated. And 8-point come running through, shot it. Went, checked it out, took pictures, got back in the blind. We just enjoying the day, you know, conversing about the day and everything, and a bunch of deer come in the woods from across the field, and there was a real nice buck in it. So it was working their way through the woods, and I said, "What do you want to do? What do you want to do?" He said, "Shoot on 3." We both shot on 3, and he ran about 40 yards and went down. And
you got him
so
together?
Yep. So we did.
2 bullet holes in it.
1 bullet hole. paper, rock, scissors on who was tagging the deer. And
Oh man, have you tagged out before like this?
no, never in one day like that.
You'd have no idea who actually hit it?
How would you know?
I don't know. You're both
He's both shooting 12-gauge shotguns.
Man, that's so cool.
So,
what a fun story. That's
yeah,
great.
so we got paper, rock, scissors.
Ashley Milton tagged her biggest buck ever on the second day of the season.
Well, I got home from work and my husband's like, we got to get out there like now. So we got out there and it was about 5:15. It came from right behind us. He said, buck, there's a big buck. And I had to pick up my gun, pick up my chair, pick up my shooting stick, turn around, and he was there and I shot him and tracked him right away. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, is this your biggest buck?
Yes, definitely. So in 2012, I got a little guy, and it won smallest buck, and I was pregnant with this little man. I was 16 weeks pregnant, and he's now 4. Little, and his name's Hunter, so it's fitting.
Ashley shot her first buck with Hunter in her belly, and then I came back and shot my first buck with this one in the belly. Can you say hi? She doesn't want to say hi, so no more for us though. No more babies, so no more bucks maybe. I don't know.
So everyone brings the baby back.
That's right. Yeah, we bring the babies back to meet Jenny and to see the bucks. They love it.
Speaking of bucks, 15-year-old Logan Birkinshaw was here with his big buck. So tell me what happened. Is this your first buck?
Yep, first buck. Had buck fever for a while now.
Yeah, so when did you shoot him?
Opening day, like around 10 o'clock.
All right, and tell me the setup, kind of what, were you hunting in the woods or field?
Hunting in the woods, sitting there, came out of nowhere, sitting there playing on my phone, looked up, all of a sudden got heart racing, just going, lifted up, got him. Well, I saw him earlier in the day, and I was kind of hoping I'd see him again, and there he was.
Really? You saw him earlier?
Yeah, I spooked him earlier.
Really? How far was he at that point?
He was like actually really close.
Cool. So who's the first person you called?
Probably my mom. Yeah, I called my mom first.
Awesome. This next bruiser belongs to Steve Sunday from Armada, winner in the adult division.
We have the restricted tags in Michigan. I have more restrictions on me. I shot a nice one last year, so the property owner said I had to either get something equal or better. So just before 10:30, I was whining to a friend that I won't be getting a buck this year. Chances were slim. And then right at 10:30, 366 days from last year, right on the minute, he came out, shot him at 25 yards.
Really? 25 yards?
Yep, he was on a doe. Officially, he scored at 9 points, but from a hunter's perspective, it's a 12-point.
Nice. And what did he score?
It's 142 plus.
Wow. Congratulations. How amazing.
Thank you.
13-year-old Madison Priestcorn shot this great 6-point on opening day. So tell me what happened. Is this your first buck?
Yeah.
Awesome. Tell me how it all happened.
So we were sitting in the blind all day, and then around 5 at night, this guy came out after a bunch of does, and he came out to the bait pile, and once it turned, I knew it was my shot, and I took it, and it only ran about 20 yards, and then it fell.
Oh my goodness. Did you have buck fever?
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
I was really nervous and excited all at the same time.
Very cool. Who was out there with you?
My dad and my younger brother.
Okay, how old are you?
13.
13 years old. That's so cool. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Mark Ketterer got his perfect Michigan 8-point the second day of the season.
We're hunting out south of Brown City, where you hunted with us. And Mark and I went out this afternoon about 1:30, and he dropped me off, and I climbed up in my stand. I got to the top, and I dropped my seat. I got back down, got my seat, and climbed back up to the top, and stood up, turned around, and he was chasing a doe right through the thick stuff, and I put my gun up and hit him, and he turned and ran right in front of me and fell right in front of the tree stand.
Beth Perrick won the ladies division with her gorgeous 134-inch 10-point. So tell me how it all happened. You were out there together?
Yes. I had my 2 daughters with me, and we were watching a couple yearlings playing, and all of a sudden one started coming out, and I said, "Oh, here comes a big one," and she goes, "Mom, it's a buck." So I actually gave both my daughters options to shoot it, And she got a really big one during bow season, so she said, "Mom, I think this one's yours."
Aw, that's nice.
And my other daughter got a little nervous, and so he was about 100 yards out, dropped him right there.
Oh my gosh, then what happened in that blind? 3 women.
Oh, we were crazy.
We were all excited.
Actually, about a half hour later, we got a couple more that came out, and Emily ended up with another deer, so she got a 5-point that night, or that morning.
Wow, I think we need to
It was a great morning.
Next up was 17-year-old Cole Buckheister, who won the youth division with his 134-inch 10-point.
It just turned daylight. The doe popped out of the field, pulled up the binoculars, decent-sized doe, and all I see is rack behind her. And I got on the gun. Dad ranged it for me. He put 150 yards, put the first mill dot on him, waited for him, put it on his shoulder, pulled the trigger, and he dropped.
Really?
Yep.
Now,
it was very
this is
exciting.
your biggest buck, I
Yep.
assume. Is it your first buck?
Second buck I've ever killed in my life.
Second buck.
We waited about 20 minutes, let him die just in case. And we went out there, and I didn't know he was that big, and I put my hands on him, and it was the most exciting moment. I loved it. It's a moment I'll have for my dad forever, and I cherish it a lot.
Finishing out the night at 150 inches was grand prize winner Jeff Crump from Attica.
It was about 11:25 opening morning. 3-point come walking into the carrots, and this guy here, he came right behind him, about a minute and 2 behind him, walked straight into the carrots, 50 yards out, and that was it. Shot him. Yep, didn't drop though right away, and he ran a little ways, probably about 50 yards,
Yeah.
and then that was it.
What were you using?
450 Bushmaster.
Nice, all right. Gee, what was going through your mind when you saw him coming?
I was very nervous, but for some reason I was actually calm, and I don't know why. I was just kind of watching him, had a scope on him, and like, don't move, and then he quartered me, and I was like, okay, bang. It wasn't until after. Then I got nervous. Then I got shaky, and I gotta find him. I got him, there he was. Found the blood, and I called my wife right away, and I got this big one. So I never had a big one like this before, so.
Special thanks to Ram Trucks, Hoovar's Auto Dealership, and all the others who make this buck pull event possible for the Richmond community. It's a perfect place for sportsmen, women, and children to gather and support each other in a fun, safe environment, and to carry on family traditions here in Michigan's Out of Doors. Thanks for joining us this week for Michigan Out of Doors. Make sure you check us out online next time you get a chance. You can do it a couple of different ways on our website at michiganoutofdoorstv.com or on our social media pages at Michigan Out of Doors TV. We're usually on social media every few days letting you know where we are and where we're headed next. Speaking of where we're headed next, you've got to make sure you stick around for next week's show.
On next week's program, we are going to have Jordan Brown's opening day story with some veterans in the mid-Michigan area. And then our own Gabe Van Warmer was actually out with his kids, and they had a successful day in the woods as well. Lots of good stuff coming over the next several weeks. And if we don't see you in the woods or on the water, hopefully we'll see you right back here next week on your PBS station.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Greenstone Farm Credit Services, making recreational land ownership possible across Michigan and northeast Wisconsin. Begin your land financing journey at one of Greenstone's 37 locations or visit greenstonefcs.com. By Metalloyd Firearms and Sports, developers of environmentally friendly firearm maintenance products for cleaning and protecting your firearms metal, as well as wood and leather components. On the web at metalloydfirearmsproducts.com. By Jay's Sporting Goods, with locations in Clare and Gaylord. Jay's has been serving the Michigan outdoor enthusiast since 1971, with a wide variety of outdoor products. The gear, the knowledge, the tradition of Jay's. On the web at jaysportinggoods.com. By the Michigan Petroleum Association and the National Oil Heat Research Alliance, advocating the advantages of oil heat for home and environment through products like BioHeat Oil, which blends biodegradable materials into a renewable fuel source. Learn more at oilheatamerica.com. Closed captioning provided by Marvo Mineral, makers of Lucky Buck, deer management products including minerals to supplement deer diets year-round to improve health and antler growth.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene.